All right, all right, all right. I ain't even got the muscles to be doing all that, but what's happening, beautiful people? It has been a hot minute. Um, Allow me to explain. It's for good reason. Um, I know I said I was gonna post a video every 2 weeks, and then I did it like twice, and then life happened. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give you an explanation as to what I mean by life, right? So that's the premise of this video, just to give you an update as to what's going on. If you care, if you don't, deuces. But if you do, stay tuned. This might run a little long, it might not, just depending, but we'll see, right? So, just to give you the breakdown, starting in January, my wife and I decided, January of this year, my wife and I decided to, instead of moving into another apartment and paying all the move-in fees and yada, 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 and then we're not able to actually make any of that money back from the mortgage and things of that nature, or rather from the rent, we decided we don't want to live in an apartment anymore. We'd rather find a house and move into a house. So, her and I both prayed about it and felt that we heard God say, yes, go for it. Like, go ahead and look for a house. So we do that, right? Now, I would love to say that we found a house immediately, but that's not the case. Here we are in July. You know what I'm saying? So if you pay attention to the videos, obviously the background isn't the same. It's not a white sheet hung on a white wall. It's now these weird and awkwardly burnt orange walls behind me, which will soon change, but they're not there yet, so we'll get there when we get there. So February time comes and we find our first house, right? Now, mind you, throughout this 6 month process, my wife and I are both growing spiritually, emotionally, trying to develop as people and as children of God. So we got a lot of other stuff going on outside of just looking for a house, right? So we're going through this stuff, and come February, we find the first house that we really like that's actually right down the street from where we're at now. So we find this house and we pray about it, and I hear God say, yes, go for it. And so we go for the house, we put a bid in on a house. And then some really rich person who had $225,000 cash decided to go and pay cash for the house. So we didn't get the bid on that. But then it pissed me off because it's like, yo, I know I heard God say yes, put the bid in, or go for it or whatever. So why didn't we get the house? And I'm expressing this frustration to my wife, right? So then she goes, well, did he say you were going to get the house, or that we were going to get the house, or did he just say yes, go for it? And I was like, oh, so we playing games now, huh? So we playing games now, huh? Because I wasn't specific with what I was praying for, or specific in what I was asking. You want to come through with that? I bet. So then going forward, I was pretty upset for about a week and then got over it, right? So then so that was in February. So then March, I don't think we found anything, and then was it April? It might have been April. Anyways, so we ended up finding another house in April, May-ish, somewhere around in there, and we went to go look at this house. Wasn't nearly as nice as the first house, but it was alright. So we come to find out somebody was shot and killed in the house. So that automatically was just like, we're not sitting good with that. We gonna you have to come through the house with sage and everything like that to cleanse everything. So, bruh, nah, we we want it, but anyways. So we put a bid in on the house, and the lady that was selling the house decided she wanted to be, let's just say, chisty, right? So she decided she wanted to up the ante and make us wait 2 or 3 days. Actually, it was like 3 or 4 days. It was over the weekend, right? So then come Monday, we're like, okay, yo, we've been waiting for, a hot minute here with no word from you. So then our realtor, who, by the way, you're probably not going to see this video, but in the case you do, you're awesome. We appreciate you. You just, if you need a realtor, Mark Miller is the way to go. So we end up finding this house. Oh, I already said that. We put a bid in on a house, and then a lady comes back like 4 or 5 days later talking about, I want you to pay for the title fee, which is like $6,000 or $7,000, On top of the $6,000 or $7,000 we're gonna have to pay for closing costs, on top of the fact that she raised the price, was it $3,000? And so we're like, man, so you just really trying to finesse somebody, and we not in a rush. So no, so we pretty much resubmitted the bid we had already submitted and be like, no, we're gonna stick with what we already said. So then she decided she was gonna make us wait even longer. So then I told my realtor, hey, there's no point. We don't want the house that bad. Just go ahead and pull the bid. So then, like 2 weeks later, we find this other house, right? This house is beautiful. It's a really nice house. About 30,000, 20,000 more than, actually it was about 20,000 more, 15, 20,000 more than the house that we just finished looking at. And we were kind of okay with that, but not really, but we were going to go for it. So we put a bid in on it. Well, somebody else came and put a better bid on the house, a bigger bid, and they ended up getting the house. So then, on to the next one, right? So this is probably like the third or fourth house at this point. I might have missed one, I don't know. But this is probably about the third or fourth house that we've actually gone to look at. So then, this is like now June time, right? Now, mind you, our lease is up June 30th, so cutting it real close. So as we get closer and closer to our lease ending, I'm like, yo, all right, so I need to pray to make sure that I heard what I heard. So being slightly fearful, being slightly anxious, because up to this point in my life, I've never had to trust God or have as much faith as I had to have at this point. So this whole 2-3 month period, when we're getting closer and closer to the lease ending, got really, really stressful and got really, it in a sense tested my faith to a big extent, and also tested my wife's faith to a big extent as well. So in this process, we're having to stay faithful and be patient, right? So then my wife and I come up with this brilliant plan, right? If God doesn't come through, we got a bunch of money saved up at this point, like a bunch of money. So enough money to go ahead and pay my car off, go buy her a car cash, and then go take a trip to Colorado. Like we had money, right? So we decide, we're talking on the couch, and we decide, if God doesn't come through by this date, being June 30th, we're going to go ahead and say, screw it, sign the lease for another year or two or whatever, and then pay off my car, buy her a car, and then go take a trip to Colorado all, in this year. So about 6 months' time. So we're like, all right, cool. So we agree on that plan, talk about that plan multiple times. If God doesn't come through, then this. If God doesn't come through, then this, right? So it gets to about midway through June, and we're like, all right, cool. But in this time, we're fervently seeking God. We're fervently praying and making sure we have a connection, making sure that we have a relationship, and we're being very, very intentional about maintaining that relationship with God. So we get to about June, 2 weeks into June, and then we find this house. The house pops up on the market. And the open house for this house isn't going to be until Monday from 2 to 4, when neither one of us is going to be able to get off work and go look at the house. So this is about a Friday or a Saturday, right? So we decide, we don't feel like going to look at the house, but we decide, man, might as well just go look at it, do a drive-by, and see what it looks like, just because, right? We didn't feel like it, but we're doing nothing, so might as well. So we decided to go do a drive-by. So where the house was located on the maps, on Google Maps, it had the house located on the left side of the street, but the house was actually on the right side of the street. So when we're driving down the street, we're looking at the left side. Miss the house, obviously. You're looking at the wrong side of the road. So we drive all the way down the street, bust a U-turn, come back, and then we see this house that's for sale by owner. We're like, ooh, that's a really nice house. So we're looking at this house and we're like, man, okay. So we get the number from the sign. Then we're like, you know what? Let's go look at the other house at least. So we drive down, go look at the other house, and we're just not as impressed. Now, keep in mind, we had no intentions of we didn't really feel like going to look at this house to begin with. This was just a God thing, right? So we end up going back to the other house to look at it again, backing up because it's literally right down the street. So we back up, look at the other house, and it's like, man, I really would rather go for this house and try this house instead of going for that one, because I don't even like the way that one looks. So then we don't even bother looking at the other house intently. Okay, it is what it is. So we drive back home and we call the guy. It just so happens that the guy that owned this house lives right next door. He's my next door neighbor. Super cool guy, super chill. So we end up calling him, and he's like, if you're in the area, I'm home. You can just come by and I can show you the house. And we're like, word? All right, cool. So we come back and he shows us the house about 30, 45 minutes and then invites us over to his house. And we sit there and talk for probably about 2 hours, and at the end of us having a conversation, he's like, you know what, I really just want to sell you guys the house. Y'all seem like a really cool couple and this and that. I'm gonna sell you guys the house. So we get on the phone with our realtor, and now here we are. So that happened about 2 weeks into June. We had the inspection done the third week, the appraisal done by, I think it was like the first week of June or July. I ended up having to extend the lease. Now here's the crazy part. I didn't know when the lease was going to be done at all, or when the paperwork was going to be done so we could sign and close. So I just said the 16th just to say it. No idea what was going to happen. No idea if I was going to have to extend the lease and yada yada yada. So I said the 16th to extend the lease the first time, and about a week or so into July, I called the mortgage company. I'm like, hey, any idea when this is going to be taken care of? And so she was like, well, right now we're waiting on this and that. And so I'm like, okay, any chance it'll be done by the 30th? She's like, no, because the appraisal is not due back until the 9th, and everything that is not due back, all of the other stuff is not due back until the 12th, and everything will be done by the 12th. And I was like, okay, cool. So the week of the 9th, I called to get an update, and so she goes, it was the week of the 12th. She goes, we're on track to have everything done and signed by the 16th. And I'm like, that just blows my mind, because I had no idea this stuff was going to be done by the 16th, or that I needed to do the lease until the 16th. So this is actually kind of crazy. After all this is done, we sign and we close on our first house, and the burnt orange is just the burnt orange. So we sign and close and get everything moved in out of the apartment and get everything moved into the house, and it's immaculate, right? So everything's beautiful, nice, nice house, nice kitchen, everything is just awesome. It meets all the expectations that we had. It meets all the standards that we had. Everything that we wanted in our house, we have that in this one. So with that being said, for those that do watch the videos, I apologize again for not uploading twice or once every 2 weeks like I said I would. Obviously, life has happened and I've moved and so on and so forth. So bear with me. Give me like 2 weeks. I'm going to get the other spoken word poem recorded and put that up in 2 weeks, if not sooner, but 2 weeks is the deadline. And then I'll finish the other one, hopefully have that one up in another 2 weeks. And then I got something special coming. It's not done yet. I got to get things in order first, because we just spent a bunch of money on buying a house. So patient with me. I promise you, you're going to love it. I promise you it's going to completely blow. Your mind, well, that was awkward. Your mind is going to get blown. Full on. Just full. You might not have brains by the time this is done. Listening to this, you probably don't have any more brain cells, but it'd be good to just end it all, wouldn't it? No. But yeah, so it's gonna blow your mind. You're gonna love it. I hope you like it, anyways. But yeah, so hopefully this didn't lose you midway through, and if you stayed till the end and watched it, I love you. You're awesome. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are enjoying the videos, and if you haven't already, like and subscribe. All right, love y'all. Peace.